We've discussed the idea that there are two different kinds of mitzvahs of tefillah. First, we saw the Rambam, the mitzvah of Avoda She'beleiv. Serving Hashem with your heart, it's a service. The second was Tefillah B'eis Tzarah, calling out to Hashem for all of your needs, which was the Ramban. We went into the Ramban at length. Now we have to come back to the Rambam. Even according to the Ramban, when the Anshe Knesset Agdala put together the Shemonah Esrei, aside from fulfilling that mitzvah of asking for our needs, there's a lot more going on in our Shemonah Esrei. Which means that midrabanan, when the Anshe Knesset Agdala put it together, they certainly are going with this concept of Avoda She'beleiv. And face it, it's a medrash, there is such a halacha. We're supposed to be doing it according to the Rambam, it's a daraisa. According to the Ramban, it would only be a derabbanan. What is this Avoda She'beleiv? How are we serving Hashem? By asking Him for our needs. When someone comes and says, give me, help me, is that serving you? If anything, it's serving Him. Why is this about how we serving Hashem? So, in good Jewish tradition, we will have to begin with a kasha. The halacha is that the mitzvah of tefillah, Gemara tells us, has a seder to it. It begins with praise, it goes on to request, and then culminates in thanks. Shevach, bakosha, and hodoya. We learn it out of the positioning in Tehillim. The Shemonah Esrei was styled after that. And it begins with praise, and then it goes into requests, and then it culminates in thanks. And we understand that the Shemonah Esrei has three parts to it, those three parts. The bracha of avos, of gvuris, of kedusha, the first three brachas of Shemonah Esrei, all praise. They're not request. They're followed by 13 brachas of request. After that, it's supposed to be the thanks. Now the last three brachas, if you examine them, you'll find that the bracha of Moedim, of course, is thanks. Moedim and Atayv Shimcha L'chano Aloydas, it's all thanks. Ritzei, perhaps, we're asking Hashem to accept our tefillah. It's something of a transition. Okay. The problem is the last bracha of Shemonah Esrei, the finale. Because after we finish our thanks in the bracha of Hodoya, we come back with more requests. The bracha of Sim Shalom, Shalom Rav, we're asking for things. Sim Shalom Tov Avracha, we're asking. So the culmination of the Shemonah Esrei is not in thanks the way Chazal prescribed it. How does it work? What's pshat in that last bracha? So I'd like to share with you what is not just an answer to the last bracha, but really a whole approach to what davening is supposed to be. And it is not limited to what's going on in our minds at the time that we're saying our Shemonah Esrei, but this is something that should really be on our conscience all day long. So let's begin. You know, when someone gives you a present, when you receive a present, so when you're immature, take a look at the present. Oh, this is just what I wanted. Or some kids that are really immature. This is not what I wanted. I wanted something better. But this is what I wanted. You're focusing on the gift. Mature people, when they look at a gift, they see a relationship. They see a relationship. What they're thankful for is what the gift is communicating. Hashem showers us with His gifts all day long. We are so caught up in the details of life that we forget that really everything Hashem is doing, all the wonderful things He's giving us, are personal gifts for the sake of expressing a relationship. For a really mature thinking person, a true maimin, one who understands what the tachas of life is, which is kirvas alakim, as Mesilas Yesharim puts it. That's the ikar. Everything else is there, the means. It's superficial. Hashem gives us health. He gives us livelihood. He gives us friends. He gives all kinds of wonderful things. He gives us food that tastes good. Those are the means. Don't just pull off the wrapping. Oh, this is what I wanted. What you've got to do is feel. This is the gift from Hashem. And that's what really counts. You know, if you look throughout Tehillim, This is what David HaMelech is talking about. Keli loma zavton. What's his problem? His problem in all of the suffering. His problem in all the terrible things that happened to him. So much of his life, he was running for his life. What's his problem? Loma zavtoni. Hashem, why are you turning your back on me? I want to feel the closeness. This is really the secret of life. That means all day long, we should be operating on something of a binary system. Everything that happens, is Hashem exhibiting his love to me? Or is he pretending to turn his back on me? Which feels so, The bracha of Sim Shalom. Brachenu avinu kolanu ke'echad ba'or panecha. What is or panecha? The old Sidurim translated as the shine of thy countenance. What is or haponim? Or haponim is a poetic way of saying, smile at us, Hashem. Smile at us. Or haponim, when you smile, you light up. Hashem, we want your smile. You know what we're saying in the last bracha? We are really changing the whole meaning of the whole Shemonah Esrei up until that point. We're saying, Hashem, we had all of these requests. We davened for so many different things, beginning with wisdom. And bring us back. We want Shuvah, we want Gula, we want Parnasa, we want health. You know what it's really all about? Hashem, we were really asking for one thing. We want your smile. The way you smile at us is by providing all of the things we need. But it's your smile that counts. It says, yes, Sim Shalom, Toiva, Bracha, Chen, Chesed, Rachamim. We want all kinds of things. But why? So we sum it up and we say, Barchenu avinu kolanu ki echad ba'or panecha, please smile at us. Ki ba'or panecha nasat alanu Hashem Elokeinu toras chaim avos chesed tzedakah racha rachamim. Everything you give us is a way of smiling. We're reframing the whole Shemonah Esrei. Hashem, we weren't asking for health. We weren't asking for livelihood. We were asking for the smile. That's the way you show it. For an intelligent person, that's what it's all about. And we should be living like this all day long, yearning for that closeness, feeling Hashem's warmth, and at the same time, when he does turn his back on us, to be mature enough to cry over that distance that we're feeling. That distance. It's a story I always like telling over. Because it really happened. It really, really happened. This was a student at the yeshiva, a Baal Tshuva. His wife's family was not from. They were living bedachkus. He was learning. So to begin with, he had a hard time learning. Things just weren't going in. And Baruch Hashem, we got the right Rebbe for him. And he took off. And it was great. He was learning so well. And then suddenly, everything stopped. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. It just wasn't working anymore. So I approached him. I said, you're not looking good. What's going on? So he says, we got married. We've been saving up to buy an apartment. An apartment in Israel is quite expensive. In those days, it was considerably less than today, but it was still quite expensive. He said, we got to the point that we were $15,000 short of the down payment. And it was something of a miracle. He says, my father-in-law, who really never liked the idea that his daughter married someone who's sitting and learning. And we face it, the whole observance thing was a chiddush, but sitting and learning, it was an S. He wrote a check for $15,000 so we could put down the down payment. Sounds great. What's the problem? I lost the check. I lost the check. How do I go tell my father-in-law that I'm such a schlemiel, I lost the check? That's all he's got to hear. So it looks like we're going to lose the apartment. I don't know what he's going to say. I don't know what he's going to think. What do I do? So he's been down in the dumps. And this preoccupied his mind, he just couldn't learn. I felt for him. I really felt for him. I told him, listen, you got to do a cheshbon hanefesh. Hashem couldn't do a thing like that to you for nothing. He wants you to grow in some way. Do a cheshbon hanefesh. Are you really doing everything the way you're supposed to? Do you really think you're giving it your all? This is what Hashem wants of you. So he went home, he and his wife. He comes back the next day, he said, we did a cheshbon hanefesh. We think we're okay. Now, if I wouldn't know him, I would tell him, maybe you're not so self-aware, or maybe you're a big balei gaiva. These were such sincere people. They worked so hard on themselves. I took his word for it. And you know something, I got a bit angry. Hashem, these are such good people. How can you do this to them? So I told him something, tongue-in-cheek, but he took it very literally. I told him, go down to the koisel and tell Hashem, you've got to let me know what you want. You've got to explain to me what I'm not doing right. Or I want my money back now with interest and damages. That's what I told him. See, he did that. He went down to the koisel and he said, he screamed at Hashem, and that's what he said. So you got to hear what happened. He's on his way back from the koisel. In those days, I had an office that was not far from the steps up, and someone screams out from the office that he's got a very important phone call. So he comes running into the office, okay? It was his wife. She found the check. Where'd you find it? In the drawer. He said, I went through that drawer 6 times. I went through every paper, turned it upside down. I'm sure I checked it. It wasn't there. So he comes to me, he says, Hashem answered. I got my money back. What's with the interest? I was never so real with the Rebbeinu Shalom ever before. I was never so real with the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's what I needed. That's what he was waiting for. And the damages? Well, I learned my lesson. You've got a check for $15,000. You take care of it. You don't put it in a drawer with a bunch of papers. It worked. Listen, I can't promise you that it's always going to work because Hashem has his ways of communicating. And I'm not advocating that everybody go scream at the Rebbeinu Shalom. But you gotta live with this feeling. The Rebbeinu Shalom is always talking to us. And what we want more than anything else is the closeness. And yes, the most important thing in your davening is feeling close to Hashem. Wanting to be close to Hashem. That was the lesson he learned. That's what Hashem wanted of him. So yes, it's a service. But it's Avoda She'beleiv. It's developing a passionate, emotional relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom, where all day long you want to feel close to him. You want to feel closer and closer and closer. And when you feel the distance, you cry out. And you do that in your personal tefillah to Hashem. That's really the essence of the Shemonah Esrei. And that's the finale of Shemonah Esrei. Barcheinu avinu kulanu ke'echad. Ba'or panecha, with your smile. Hashem's smile, that's what we want. Everything else is just a means. It's just a means. We're looking for this smile.